All right. So on that note, I'm going to restate the question that I have for Rob Kish. And my question is, many Israelites here in America, they understand and they know when our ancestors lived in the land, as many of our ancestors still do live in the land, they were able to and live in the Torah. The Torah was a living legacy, something that they embodied in their everyday practice. So I would like for you in this moment, Rav Kish, to teach us how we practice Torah without having a book. Give us more insight on Igbo traditions that are a daily living practice.
Okay, thank you. The Igbo traditions, I would say Torah observances, is a system. And this system is a system of father to son transmission. So every father, to time immemorial, has children from their next children. So when you have a child, you start telling the child, this is what we do. And because you bestow love to your father, to your son, he loves you back. So you are able to have emotional connection to your children. And they listen to you, you teach them what is your etiquette in your place. And apart from that emotional connection and love, we have systems of enforcement of these things when you do what is not supposed to be done. So the issue of Torah not being there, we have our system, we teach, and the way through the medium through which you worship Hakadosh Baruch Hu, there are things they say you shouldn't do. When you do it, it has consequences, and the consequences are not tomorrow. It happens instantly. Like for example, in my homeland, if you have a parcel of land, a plot of land, nobody goes to encroach in your land. You know, Torah says, "Woe to him that moved the border of the corner of a field." You go to move the border stone. So in my place, you don't move it. You don't encroach. Once you encroach in people's own, you have 7 days. Either you restitute it and do other thing, or the person dies. So it's not that it's going to tell you you're going to do teshuvah, you're going to do this. No, you know you've done it, and your life is at stake. So because there's instant retribution, people don't want to have that experiences. So they live accordingly, how they're supposed to live. So it's a system you transmit with love, and when the person doesn't want to take it with love, because we are who we are, we don't allow people to come and bring a divergence to our life and our spirituality. It means you are an outlier to the society, and the divinity takes you out. And before it takes you out, you have to know, everything has to be explained. So how we are doing, like I said, it transmitted from father to sons. And because you have a society, by your cohabiting with people, you learn also from uncles the way Ephraim and Manasseh learned Torah from their uncles in Mizraim. There was no Bible in Mizraim, but Ephraim and Manasseh, they learned from his uncles. Everybody learned. So that is how we learn too. Just for example, now you're living in the US, maybe you're living in New York. There's no code of conduct written and given to you how to live in New York. It's because of your co-relationship with people, you learn it. So our people who want to live the way we live without Torah, it means they have to come and sit down and learn a bit. If they cannot, they have to make do with what they see in the Bible and Torah to help them as a guidance, and who can be corresponding. How is this done? But you have to have a basics, because a lot of things has happened over the years. If people have not been here for up to 600 years, so you cannot compare it with people in North America to us again. I lived through it. I learned through it. Just remember the children of all the cousins to Ephraim and Manasseh, they learned with their uncles. The only reason why Yaakov has been to bless Ephraim and Manasseh, especially because say he need to cover for them for the vacuum they didn't have. The vacuum they existed because they didn't stay with their uncles, or that 12 sons, to learn from them. He blessed them to cover that for them. So People in North America, they have that vacuum. They have not learned like me, people who live here in Nigeria, in Igbo land. So they have to, I'm advising they have to make do with the Bible somehow to guide them, so they can now be asking questions, will now be updating them in what they can't find or they don't relate within the Bible, but they have to have basics. If they have lived here in Igbo land, it will be easier for them to live the type of life they want to live without the Bible. But unfortunately, they are not here. Something has happened, so we have to make a close gap about it.
Okay, I definitely can appreciate that. Thank you very much for that. You know, I see you in this moment as a treasure trove for our community, because you represent not only what an Israelite looks like, but you know what an Israelite practices without the aid of a book, which is important, right? Because we know that as faithful as we trust the telling and retelling of our traditions and our history through a book, we know that if a man relegates the telling of his history to a book, then that man is in trouble. We also know the power of oral tradition, right? This is why in Rabbinic Judaism, there's such a reverence for the oral telling and retelling of one story. So I want to know if you can make us aware of any Igbo oral traditions that are reflected in ideas in the Torah. So you mentioned circumcision on the 8th day. You also mentioned how various flora and fauna have to be harvested, and how we will not leave behind ears that are plucked. We will leave behind ears that are plucked for the poor. So my other question for you now is, teach us about any existing Igbo oral traditions that connect with the customs and values that we find in the Torah, apart from those that you mentioned.
Okay, like Shabbat, this where there's a kind of a divergence slightly with the Igbos. Now, this is a deep thing here now. The Igbos, we don't count our week like it's in the weeks of the European 7 days. No, Igbos count their week in 4 days, and the 4 days, two of the weeks makes 8 days. So like I told you about the Igbo calendar, and those four days, 8 days, we have it. The names of the days are Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo. It rotates again, and on the Eke days, there are holy days that nothing is allowed to be done. So okay days are holy days, like like a weekly Shabbat. So nothing is done. But now we have two sets of Shabbat in a space of 8 days, the 4 days. We have the big Eke and the small Eke. The big Eke is the one, no burial, no marriages, nothing is done. It's a holy day. Then the smaller Eke stuff is one, only the Mekubalims, the priests, go to do worship. That's smaller Eke. People can do stuffs, but not a rigorous, not serious thing. So the Igbos keep such week, not the 7 days. And now, through my studies, I found out that the Holy One, blessed is He, when he told told Moshe to consecrate the priest to him, he did not consecrate the priest to him on the 7 days. He did that on the 8th day. You remember?
That's right.
The priest that Moshe consecrated, it was on 8th day. Why on the 8th day? Reason, because 8th day, like circumstance on the 8th day, it means that anything on 8th day has transcended the realm of physicality.
Come on.
You are now playing in the realm of spirituality. So the Igbo worship transcends the realm of physicality to spirituality. So it's on 8th day, like the Prince of Hakadosh Baruch Hu were consecrated on the eighth day. The Brit Milah is on the eighth day. So the Igbo's worship is on the eighth day. It transcends the realm of physicality. It's what we will discuss more, so I don't get people confused more on it here. If you check Torah Hakaneh, the book written by Nehunia ben Hakaneh, the author of Anabekuak, he said that the moon has a cycle of 8 days. Sorry, 20. The moon has a cycle of 28 days and 7 weeks. So from what Rabbi Nehunia ben Hakaneh says, that the moon has a cycle of 28 days and 7 weeks. If it has 7 weeks, then how many days will there be in a week by Nehunia ben Hakaneh? 4. Because 28 divided by 7 weeks, it gives you 4 days in a week. That is what the Igbos practice, and that's what we've been keeping. So it is not in tandem with what came from Rabbinic Judaism and European. No. This is a different aspect of it. That is one side. Then the other side we keep in oral tradition is the Rosh Chodesh. The new moon, we don't joke with it in Igbo land. The Rosh Chodesh, the day it come, we know, and is a holiday for us. It's a prayer day for us. We pray in our native way, and so on and so forth. Both old, young, we pray and hope for new things to come for the month. So we keep Rosh Chodesh, and so many other small traditions we keep. And again, when somebody dies in the ancient Igbo, when somebody dies, we bury the person immediately, and the rite of mourning, the Shiva, 7 days. That's what we do it also. The person sits on the floor, he doesn't bath, he sits Shiva for the person 7 days. So the Igbos do it as well. And any person who dies must be given a proper burial. If you're not able to give your parents a proper burial, you're not regarded as somebody of stature in Igbo land. Yes.
These are some incredible points. You know, you spoke of the 8th day transcending the bonds of the physical world. That is certainly something that I teach at our academy, Learn Torah Hebrew Academy. That when we talk about creation, we normally talk about the 7-day creation, right? It says 6 days Hashem created the heavens and the world, the earth, and the 7th day he ceased, the 7th day he rested. So the number 7 comes to represent then the perfection of the physical world. But this number 8 being a number above 7, it represents the perfection of the spiritual world, the spiritual domain, right? We also see that in the covenant of circumcision, as you mentioned. We see it in the 8th day consecration of the priests. That 8 certainly represents entering into the spiritual domain, right? And then we know that the 8th letter Chet is the initial letter of the Hebrew word Chaim, the Hebrew word for life. And we know that life in its most organic sense as a word, it transcends the bonds of the physical world. Absolutely, right? So we understand that certainly you pointing that out is very, very important, because it's a shift in paradigm ideologically from what many of us are being taught here. This is why you become a co-conspirator in aiding us to look at the Torah differently, to bring us to greater enlightenment. I believe that with the scattering of Israel to the 4 corners of the world, there are some of us in the diaspora that may have pieces of the puzzle that others may not have. But when we come together, we're coming together and assessing what piece we have and bringing it to one another to say, look, have you considered this? So your piece and your contribution is, tremendous and priceless to us. And I'm sincerely relishing this moment.